David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today I have for you a brand new offering from the Russian brand Benu, and that would be the Benu Talisman. The pen is launching today, the day that I'm actually posting this video. Thanks go out to the good folks at Benu for providing this pen to me a little early so I could have a review ready for you on the day of launch. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of the Benu Talisman, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. A talisman is an object believed to bring good luck. They can be things like rings or stones or something engraved with symbols in order to bring good luck or keep away evil. The talisman line is comprised of 5 different models. The resin for each is infused with a special substance. We have the dragon's blood, which contains the red sap of a dragon tree. Then we have the Edelweiss, which contains the snow-white star-shaped flowers of the Edelweiss plant. We have the foxglove, which contains foxglove, which is a very colorful flower. Then there is the peacock ore, which contains particles of this material that is often called the stone of happiness. And finally, we have the mandrake, which is an actual plant, not just something out of the Harry Potter universe. It can be found in the Mediterranean as well as the Himalayas, and the root is said to resemble a human body, which might have led to the inspiration in Harry Potter. Also, as you can see in this picture insert, portions of the mandrake glow in the dark, which is kind of cool. The pen arrives in this standard cardboard Benu box. Inside, once you get this off, there is some information about the specific model you receive, as well as some warranty information. And then there is also a standard international long cartridge. And then also the pen sits in this paper. I've shown it before. The bottom of the box has some shredded paper in there for padding. It looks a little bit like a bird's nest. And then the pen is in this little paper sleeve. And here we have the Talisman Dragon's Blood. This pen is made from resin. As I mentioned earlier, the magical element infused into this pen is the red sap of the dragon tree. This is what a dragon tree looks like. In Greek mythology, Hera, the queen of heaven, sent Ladon, a 100-headed serpent-like dragon, to protect the sacred fruit she had gifted to Zeus. Hercules was sent on the dangerous task of stealing this fruit, which was closely guarded by this dragon. Hercules slayed the dragon, and its blood spilled out over the land, sprouting dragon trees. These dragon trees, with their long, slender trunks and prickly leaves, continued to bleed the death of the dragon with an oozing reddish sap whenever cut. I feel the material of this pen does a good job of invoking that story, combining solid black with elements of shimmery green and red. I also think it's interesting the infused materials are slightly different. You could see here that the red is comprised of hexagonal pieces while the green is more varied in shape. Now, when you look at this picture again, you can clearly see the difference between the two colors. Many Benu pens are really over the top in regards to shimmer and boldness and color. While this pen is definitely one that has color and shimmer, the darker tones of this model make the pizzazz a little bit more subdued, which is something that appeals a little bit more to me personally, more than some of the other overly flashy models. But there are many folks out there that love the Benu Flash. The distinguishing feature of this pen are the facets. There are 6 facets, each about an inch long, and then the next set of facets are slightly offset, making for an interesting look of alternating facets from end to end on this pen. Let's take a look at the top of the cap. The top of the cap is rounded. This transitions into the clip. The clip is sword-like with a pointed tip. You can press the top of the clip and it will hinge a bit, but I found this clip has enough play in it that doing so isn't necessary in order to insert it into materials of varying thickness. The cap angles up just slightly, and then we have the plastic cap band. It's faceted as well. I've noticed the company name on the band for Benu can vary slightly from model to model. Some have textured letters and others have letters with a smoother interior. There is a medium-sized step down to the barrel, which then tapers down at a mild angle, and the end of the barrel is slightly indented. The cap twists off in 2 1/4 rotations, and underneath we have a number 6 size Schmidt stainless steel nib. It is available in fine, medium, and broad. And here's a look at the plastic feed. I have a broad nib on this particular pen, and as you will see in the writing sample, it is a very generous broad, which is very smooth and very wet. The resin section begins with a rounded flare and then angles up only slightly until you reach the threads, which are part of the barrel, and then another small step up to the rest of the barrel. You can see here the threads are flat, so they don't feel sharp or uncomfortable if your grip should rest on them. The pen is rather light. I do wish it had a little bit more heft to it, but it's comfortable in the hand. I've used this pen for some extended letter writing sessions, and I didn't experience any fatigue at all. The Talisman is long enough to use unposted. The cap does post, but I wouldn't say it posts that securely. It really depends on the orientation of the facets. In some orientations, it will be adequately secure, and in others, it's really not secure at all. So if you do have the cap posted, I feel it does slightly backweight the pen and throws off the balance a bit, so I prefer to use this pen unposted. This is a cartridge converter pen. It accepts standard international cartridges. I showed you earlier, but a long cartridge is included, and a converter is also included as well. With this barrel being one solid piece of resin, and there being no metal parts in the section, the Talisman would be appropriate to eyedropper if you should so choose to. I mentioned at the top of the review, but the Benu Talisman is being released today if you're watching this video on the day that it was uploaded. It's available from a wide variety of retailers at a price of $122. For Benu, that's a middle-of-the-road price. They have some models in their lineup which are less expensive and others which cost a little bit more. For what you receive with the Talisman, I feel $122 is appropriate in regard to a price point. The Benu pens are very well made. Their glitz and pizzazz aren't for everyone, but like I said before, the muted flare of this Dragon's Blood model is one that I feel would appeal to a lot of folks who aren't as fond of that overall flashy Benu aesthetic. Thanks again. Go out to Benu for providing this pen for review. Now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Benu Talisman Dragon's Blood. I just wanted to give you another look at that material, and I just think that that green and red and black contrast nicely with each other. Here it is with a Benu Euphoria, and here it is with a Benu Hexagon, and here it is with the Benu Tattoo. And in regard to some pens you very might well see coming up in some reviews here in the very near future, we have a Pilot Decimo. Then we have a newer pen from Gravitas, which is called their Entry pen. And then finally we have a exclusive offering from Bittner Pens from Platinum, the Izumo, and I will be looking forward to sharing this. I have an Izumo in my collection that I haven't gotten around to reviewing yet, and so I'll be looking forward to sharing this. The Izumo is a very interesting model, and that's what it looks like in comparison to the Benu. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, here it is with the Euphoria and the Hexagon, and then finally here it is with that Platinum Izumo. Here we go with the writing sample for the Benu Talisman Dragon's Blood. This is a very generous and wet broad nib, and the ink, appropriately enough, is Diamine Red Dragon. This is what the ink looks like. I mean, it's a pen named after a dragon, so how could I not use Diamine Red Dragon ink? This is what it looks like in comparison to Diamine Oxblood, which is a little bit more on the brown side of red. And then here it is with Monteverde's Cherry Danish. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I mentioned it up top, this is a very generous broad nib that I find it, you're not going to get a lot of line variation. It's fairly thick to begin with. And that I do find it to be rather generous and wet and very smooth. In regard to reverse writing, it's a little crisp, but it does lay down a very nice extra fine line. And in regard to some fast writing, the feed has no issue in keeping up. So here we have the Benu Talisman Dragon's Blood, an interesting addition to their lineup. And the facets on this pen are interesting as well. Kind of a nice combination with the red and black and green. So until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.